She thought she was just doing her job, a quiet and meticulous librarian preserving the stories of the dead. But a single letter, written a century ago by a woman she had never met, was about to speak directly to her soul. It was a divine message that had been waiting patiently for 100 years. A letter that knew her name, knew her deepest struggles, and was about to reveal the incredible destiny she was meant to fulfill. This is the amazing true story of how a message in a bottle cast into the ocean of time found its intended recipient and unlocked a life of profound purpose. Her name was Clara, and she found her solace in the silence of the library archives. She was a woman who felt more comfortable with the past than the present. An aspiring novelist herself, she had given up on her own dreams, convinced she didn't have the talent or the right story to tell. So she contented herself with cataloging the stories of others. Her life felt small, safe, and deeply unfulfilled. The stakes for Clara were not about fame or fortune. They were about a quiet, gnawing sense of missed purpose, a feeling that she was living a life that was a footnote in someone else's book. One rainy afternoon, while archiving a collection of donated books from an old estate, she picked up a forgotten leather-bound novel. The book itself was unremarkable, but as she opened it, a folded, yellowed envelope fell out from between the pages. It was sealed with wax, and on the front, in elegant looping script, were the words, "To the future finder of this book." The feeling in that dusty, silent archive was one of sacred discovery. The air grew still, and the rhythmic drumming of the rain against the tall library windows seemed to fade into the background. She felt as though she had stumbled upon a hidden treasure, a secret meant only for her. With trembling hands, she carefully broke the wax seal and unfolded the letter within. The letter was dated 1920. It was written by a woman named Ilara, the original owner of the book. Clara expected a quaint historical curiosity, a note about the weather or a piece of forgotten gossip. But what she read made the hair on her arms stand up. The letter was a direct and intimate communication, written from one writer's soul to another, across the chasm of a century. "Dear future finder," the letter began, "if you are reading this, then you are the one I have been waiting for. I am a writer, but I am a woman of my time, and my stories are not valued. I have written a novel, a story that I believe is important, but I have been told it is unpublishable. I am hiding my manuscript, entrusting it to the universe and to you. I do not know your name, but I know your spirit. I know that you are a keeper of stories. I know that you have a writer's heart, but that you are filled with doubt. You have a story inside you that you are too afraid to tell." Clara's breath caught in her throat. The words were a perfect, stunningly accurate description of her own deepest insecurities. It felt as though this woman, Ilara, was looking directly into her soul from 100 years in the past. It was a divine message, a spiritual arrow shot through time that had just hit its target. The letter went on. "Do not let them silence you as they have silenced me. Your voice is needed. As a sign of my faith in you, I am giving you my story. The clues to find my hidden manuscript are woven into the pages of this very book." The letter ended with a powerful, haunting plea. "Find my story, and then, I beg of you, find yours." This was Clara's call to adventure. It was a divine summons, a sacred quest laid at her feet. The forgotten letter was not just a piece of paper. It was a map, a challenge, and a prophecy. It was a message from her spiritual ancestor, a woman who had faced the same doubts and fears, and who was now reaching through time to pass the torch. The discovery ignited a fire in Clara's soul. Her life, which had felt so small and pointless, was suddenly infused with a profound sense of purpose. She was no longer just a librarian. She was a detective on a divine mission. She began to read the old novel with a new intensity, searching for the hidden clues. And she found them. Underlined words, subtle annotations in the margins, a numerical code hidden in the page numbers. The clues led her on a journey through old city maps and public records, a treasure hunt orchestrated by a woman a century dead. The sensation was one of thrilling, guided discovery. She felt as though Ilara's spirit was walking beside her, whispering encouragement. The final clue led her back to the library itself, to a forgotten, sealed-off section of the basement archives. Behind a loose brick in the wall, she found it. A small, locked wooden box. Inside was Ilara's manuscript, perfectly preserved, along with a final heartbreaking note. "Thank you for finding me." Clara read the novel. It was a brilliant, powerful, and revolutionary story, a work of genius that had been silenced by the prejudices of its time. She knew with every fiber of her being that her destiny was to get this book published, to give Ilara the voice she had been denied. She became a fierce and passionate advocate for the manuscript. She found a literary agent who was stunned by the story, both of the novel itself and of its discovery. The book was published, and it became a massive international success. Ilara, 100 years after her death, was finally celebrated as the literary genius she was. But the story doesn't end there. The final line of Ilara's letter had been a command. "Find my story, and then find yours." The experience had transformed Clara. The doubts and fears that had crippled her for years had been burned away by her sense of mission. She had proven to herself that she could be a champion for a story. Now, it was time to be a champion for her own. She sat down and began to write, and the story that she had been too afraid to tell poured out of her. Her own novel was published a year later to critical acclaim. Clara, the quiet librarian who thought her life was a footnote, had become the author of her own incredible story. This is a profound testament to the mysterious, unfolding nature of God's plan. It shows that our destiny is a sacred conversation between the past, the present, and the future. The letter was a divine appointment, a carefully orchestrated miracle that required a century of patience. It was a message that knew its recipient before she was even born. Your destiny is also calling you. The clues may not be in a 100-year-old letter. They may be in a dream, a chance encounter, a quiet longing in your heart. You have a unique and important story to live, a divine purpose that is written on your soul. Do not let your doubts silence you. Have the courage to answer the call. The universe has entrusted a sacred manuscript to you, the story of your own life. It is your job to find it, to write it, and to share it with the world. If you feel that you have a greater purpose waiting to be discovered, consider following for more messages that will help you find and fulfill your divine destiny.